Hey guys, this is Paul. I'm here at Let's Talk Reef, and we are going to have a great episode today. This is a little bit of a different Let's Talk Reef than we're used to. I definitely am aware of that, but we are going to be talking about some fun things today. And first off, I just want to say it is different, right? You're going to have me here on Let's Talk Reef. It's going to be a different sort of Let's Talk Reef kind of deal and everything like that. Namely because, there was a guy right here, it's Terrence. I miss the guy, but I wish him the absolute best in whatever his adventures are doing now. But we are going to have it be a little bit different because I'm a different guy than he is. By no means am I, the new marketing guy at Neptune Systems or anything like that. But we're going to make Let's Talk Reef a little bit more techie. We're going to make it getting into the weeds a little bit more often, getting into the kind of deals that you guys control freaks like to get into. So that's more of what Let's Talk Reef is going to sort of morph into over the next couple of weeks, months, and things like that. But we're still going to talk about announcements. We're still going to let you know what's going on here at Neptune Systems and staying connected to you guys and getting feedback from you guys here on the comments and, sending us emails and all those sorts of things because we want to hear what you guys want to talk about. Right? So we're still going to be talking about aquariums. We're still going to be talking about apexes, Neptune Systems, and we're still going to be, the reason why we're all here is because of you control freaks. With that being said, you're probably going to have a little bit less kind of banter. You're going to have a lot more focused sort of information, and the episodes will probably be a little bit more short. People often say I'm a man in a few words, and, I kind of am. So without further ado, that's how Let's Talk Reef is going to change a little bit. And I want to tell you what we're talking about today. What we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about apexes. We're going to be talking about why you want apexes, right? Because it's that time of year. And I think we all know what time of year it is. So I got some great announcements that will be coming to keep you guys in wanting our products, right? And giving them to you at the best value possible. And finally, at the end of all this today, I might have something that I want to give away, something that you put above an aquarium that has a great spread, great spectrum, and it's super simple to use. The Sky LED light. At the end of this live stream, we will be giving away one of those to one lucky control freak that has put a comment in the comments, and we are going to choose them at random. We're going to make somebody's day. You guys like the sound of that? I do. So let's get started. And I want to see first, do we have any questions that have come up and things on here? You guys are going right at it. I love that. So, who do we have here, Vincent? So I still got Vincent. Vincent's still manning the wheels. Does a great job at it. All right. A lot of new faces. I love that. A lot of old faces. I like you too, Mike Waller. Thank you. All right. All right. Well, let's get into this. What do you say, Vincent? You like the sign of it? All right. So I am going to be bringing on guests, right? Because it's kind of boring to talk kind of to yourself. I don't try to do that. I don't try to have conversations with myself too often. So we're going to be bringing in a guest. Hey, what's up, Derek? How are you? We are going to be bringing in Tom DeShelly. He is our our nationwide sales manager here at Neptune Systems. Is he coming on, Vincent? Yeah, we're bringing him in. That's what I made an outline, that's something we didn't do before. I made an outline. Hey, there he is. How's it going, Tom?
Paul is always prepared.
Yeah, I try to be. How you doing today?
Excellent. I'm excited.
Good, good. I'm so glad that you're here. Can you tell me where you are right now?
Right now, I am in Maine. I've been up here last 2 summers, about 5 months, maybe 6 months, both summers, while I left the tank at home. So tank is 337
Well,
miles away to be exact,
well,
and I'm here.
Tom, you're telling me you're up in Maine and it's November 18th?
It's getting cold, and the days are getting very short.
Yeah, yeah. I talked to you at like 3:30 and it was like pitch black outside up there already.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not really my style, to be honest. I'm
Yeah,
definitely a fair
so
weather kind of guy.
Tom headed up to Maine like in June, July, I want to say, maybe earlier. He spent virtually no time in New York, where he hollers from, as people say, and he loves his Maine cabining. He does our sales. His customers are in the East Coast, right? So we have some great dealers on the East Coast. You want to give any shout outs here right now, Tom?
I don't. There's too many to go. I'd like to thank my parents, for everything. But I'd like to give a shout out, honestly, to all of our vendors. Not just mine, but the whole collective group. We have over 300 retail stores. They're very supportive of us, and all the customers of ours who are out there. The retail customers, they wouldn't be where they are right now today if it wasn't for all those stores. So it's been a
Yeah,
crazy
I
couple
mean, and
weeks trying to get stuff going, right? And without their help, we wouldn't have such a great presence in the market right now.
yeah, I mean, our dealer network is a great network and one that you and the sales team have really done a great job in terms of making them great representatives of the Neptune Systems product there in the stores. So hats off to you and all of that. And I think, Tom, we want to talk a little bit about some apexes right now. Isn't that what we want to do?
I think that's what we're usually doing.
So I mentioned earlier, we're going to be getting more techie, right? But you may have heard this concept before, right? You wear a lot of different hats, right? And so, given the time of the year, given what I'm probably going to announce in a little bit, I do need to put on my sales hat, right? And so we know that a lot of people in here are control freaks, right? They are fully into the system. But Tom and I were talking this week and today, like we were reflecting on just like, why do we love our Apexes, right? We both were Neptune Systems customers before we started working at Neptune Systems. I got my Apex Classic in 2010. Yeah, I got my Apex Classic in 2010, and I started working for Kurt in 2011. And I believe, Tom, you got your Apex when?
Not very long after that, and I was talking to you, so that was maybe 8 months, 9 months before the first WXMs were sold.
So wait, 15, 14?
Maybe it was a little bit earlier. It was just after Hurricane Sandy.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that. So, we were just kind of talking, what we love about our Apexes. Please put what you love about your Apex in the comments right now. We love seeing those sorts of things. I would love just to see some great comments and things that we didn't hear, that we didn't think about in our conversations. So this is kind of the top 6 reasons, of why you should be using an Apex on your aquarium. That's what we're going to talk about, right, Tom? Yes, that's what we're going to talk about, Paul. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. So
Sounds good. We
maybe I
should do
should have just
that.
been talking to myself. What do you think?
I mean, you said before that you don't talk to yourself. Maybe I do. I don't know. So,
All right. So the first thing that Tom and I were talking about is how the Apex, it promotes stability, right? And that's honestly kind of how my aquarium has taken off over the years. It's how your aquarium probably has taken off over the years. And there's something to be said for doing the same thing the same way all the time, right? Not dumping additives in, not feeding a bunch of food, not having great fluctuations in temperature, fluctuations in ORP, pH, alkalinity, all of those things. And that's kind of what the Apex helps to do, right, Tom?
right. The good old saying, right? Nothing good happens fast in a reef tank. And, you think about what goes on out in the wild, right? If there are changes, they're very gradual, right? So you just want to try to copy that as much as possible. Repeating the same in, same out. That's exactly what I say
Yeah.
all the time,
And I
right?
mean, I
You
got
just want
my
the
my
same,
Apex.
repeat the same process.
I got my Apex right here, and we can open up the graphs real quick and just see. Wow, there's my salinity probe just being rock solid. There's me calibrating the probe, right? But here's my salinity since then, right? If we look over the days, it really doesn't change at all, right? And that's because it constantly runs the right way. A lot of people say, "Oh, my salinity probe doesn't work right." I'm doing nothing special here, guys. Right? It is just in the same return pump chamber as normal, and my salinity function fluctuates about zero point 0.5 ppt. Let's take a look at temperature. We're going to get kind of the same thing. We get essentially a what? We get a 0.3 degree shift, from day to night, and I basically turn on my heater at about 75.9 and turn it off at 76.4, right? And so it's doing the same thing over and over again. Your corals and your fish can get really used to that, and then the Trident, of course, bringing that same sort of thing to the game, right? And just nice even, we're maybe getting zero point 0.2 zero point 0.3 shift, between dosings, which is virtually nothing. I can probably try to remember what things were how that was working before my Apex, but I can't really remember that far back anymore. Can you?
No, I think there's been like a couple key products that I bought in all my. I've had a tank since I was 17, and I did things very different back then. I ignored a lot of things, etc. And there's been hundreds of different products that I've purchased over the years, right? And I'd say that there were like four or five that were really important. One being like RO, right? Okay, I put that on the list. But before Apex and after Apex is and the Trident, right, is another milestone. You think about the things that you used to do before that, and you do them here, you maybe do it that day. When you repeat that exact same thing, right? I mean, not to repeat
Mm-hmm.
myself, but when you repeat the same exact thing day in, day out, the live animals will get used to that.
Yeah.
They don't, they don't respond well to sudden shocks or shifts or anything like that. So even if your conditions are not great, as long as they are stable, then you'll get away with a lot.
Yeah, I mean, people will often say, well, my tank does great and I run nitrates of, 100. That's fine as long as you're always running nitrates of 100. You probably have a little bit of algae in there, but as long as it's consistent, that's the most important thing. And because you have an automation controller, right, on your aquarium, your Apex, it's going to do just that. A lot of good comments here. I'm just loving, kind of the people kind of just gushing right now in terms of how they love their Apex. Keep it up, guys. It's a really good thing. Um, I think this is a really good story, right? You and I were saying how the Apex provides, one of the reasons we love it is provides insight. It provides insight to things we maybe wouldn't have understood without the Apex. And you were telling me a great story you had on that. You want to tell me a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so I had two tanks at home for quite a while, and the bedroom tank was driving me nuts. The tank would grow a lot, and then it would get to a point where a lot of my big corals would start to die. And so I chased this problem for 6 or 7 or 8 months, and they would get big, then they would die, and then the problem would go away, and then would come back.
Mm-hmm.
And so once I got the Trident, it was a learning experience literally overnight. Within 2 days, I learned, really two things. One, the alkalinity consumption was really high during the photo period and really not that big of a deal when the lights were off. And so when I was dosing things 24/7, it would fluctuate a lot. It would go up and down, even on a daily cycle. But
Yeah.
what I really learned, which I never would have connected the dots on, is when I'm in a small apartment and when I leave that apartment, the CO2 consumption or the CO2 value in the house drops a lot. And then when I
Mm-hmm.
come back, it goes up, and that has a huge bearing on a 90-gallon aquarium, which I don't live in a 10 square foot apartment, so you'd think, okay, how can one guy, and I'm not that big of a guy, how can you make all that happen, right? And so my alkalinity would creep up when I'd be away from the tank, or drop, sorry, when I was away from the tank because the consumption rate would go up. Once I had the Trident, it was I mean, it was clear as day,
Yeah.
right? I walk out within 2 3 days, it's not a lot, but it's 15, 20, 22% more, right? So 18 to 21 mils is the difference. But
Yeah.
you do that over 6 or 7 days, you might as well have turned it off on Tuesday, right? And I
Right.
come back and it would go the other way. So
I
it was a
rem-
massive learning experience that I would have never figured out by myself.
I remember when we kind of, you got one of the first Tridents, obviously. We made sure that that was in there. I think even from a trade show, we were wondering where Trident was at one point when it
I
was still
have
in
no idea
demo.
what you're talking about.
And eventually we were like, Tom, I'd look at your tank one day and I'm like, Tom's got it. One of the three Tridents in existence. Tom has it on his aquarium there right now.
So what kind of
But
happened is I ran out of reagents.
yeah,
Obviously you couldn't buy them anywhere, and
and then
so
you
I called
tried to
Paul
you
and I was
tried to
like, "What
get
am
me
I
to send,
supposed to do?" Yeah,
and I
and
was
he
like,
went
you
into
need to
Kurt's
send that
office and
back.
said, "Hey, Tom called. He's looking for reagents." And he was like, "What?"
Yeah, but that was one of the we thought something was almost wrong with the Trident to a certain degree,
Yep,
right?
I
We
did.
didn't think that.
You thought I broke it because it was 20 degrees out the day that they all got shipped, right? All the
Yeah,
NSI guys who might be in this remember how cold it was, and we shipped them all over. It was a great test, right? That they
yeah,
were fine, even though it was 10, 20 below. It was during that crazy deep freeze, and so I, warmed it up for like 25 minutes, and like a little kid on Christmas, I was like, no, no, I'm gonna plug it in, and then Paul thought that I broke it because it wasn't working, but it was working.
I mean, you
This is,
fired up a stepper motor that was like rock solid cold, you know.
I couldn't wait.
So And what was interesting about that, though, is now the way that you operate that tank when you're home and the dosing that you do when you're home is different than the way that you operate it when you're there. And I mean, that's just an insight that you never would have had, without that
Yep.
being here. You would have left to go on your sales trips and you would have keep coming back to an aquarium that basically the alkalinity was so low and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Right? And finally, kind of everything sort of clicked after like maybe 3 or 4 weeks after running the Trident, which segues great into the next thing we wanted to talk about. The Apex and Neptune systems allows you to be away from your aquarium, right? And Tom, how many times have you been home in the last 5 months?
Maybe 8 days.
You've
I think
maybe been
so.
home 8 days in the last 5 months. Do you have people going over to the
Yep.
house and taking care of the aquarium for you?
I have had to send one of my vendors over there, Mark. Thank you for
We'll tell that story a
maybe
little bit
two
later.
times. We'll get to that. Well, one time there was nothing, but I just had him go over there anyway. It was something with unrelated to the aquarium, but really the answer is no. I've gone home once every 30 days to refill the Trident reagents, scrub the glass, which is by far the biggest problem after
Yeah.
30 days.
Let's
Um,
let's go
and
ahead let's go ahead and look at the video of that. Let's go ahead and look at the video of that tank. I love this video you sent me, and you did this video in October, the last time you were home, right? He's mute. So Tom is muted. Can we hear you again?
I'm back. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
back. So the 22nd of October, I was home. So it's a little cloudy, obviously, from changing the water out. But yeah, I mean, to run an SPS tank of any type without being around, without the Trident, I still don't think it would be possible, Apex or not, right? It's just too many things change a little bit here and there. And I don't have like an absurd amount of stuff on it. I've got two automatic feeders, the dose for the chemicals, the additives, but I then added a automatic water change with the 30-gallon bucket. So between two automatic feeders and the automatic water change, Trident and the dosers, it's set it and forget it. And I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes when you do this, the tank does better than when you're home because otherwise you're tinkering with things.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, this tank looks great, and it's mind blowing to me how you have all of this just basically automated. You have this elaborate RO system, which we can do a whole episode on the way you do your RO system and your top off and everything like that. But you use the Triton method. You got some skies over that tank. I think we have the picture with just some skies there. You are running. Looks like you got a Vortec pump on there, right? Here, I am
Right
looking
side.
forward. I'm looking forward to that Vortec being compatible out of the box again, in the future, and excited for all of the synergy that we're going to have with our sister company over at Ecotech Marine. That's super exciting. I think both Tom and I are really excited. We've always loved those pumps and loved a lot of the products that they make, and I think having that synergy is going to be a great thing. But
Couldn't agree more.
Tom, this tank looks great, and without an Apex, you're not keeping a tank like this. It's just straight up.
I think regardless of being away from the tank or not, but our
Yeah,
job is to travel a lot. It would be impossible.
yeah. Well, that's great, Tom. Um, the Apex, it connects you to your aquarium, right? And the way that it connects you to your aquarium is through, the ability to do this, right? To pick up your phone, and take a look, and you know exactly what's going on in your aquarium. All of that worry and concern that you have, right, kind of goes out the door, right? As soon as you sort of pick that up and you see all your numbers and everything like that, you dial down closer and you can see everything else, and you even know that when you aren't pulling out the phone like this, that you're going to receive notifications and alerts, right? I haven't gotten any notifications or alerts recently, right? I think we'll have to go back, almost 12 days, right? And this is when I was calibrating a pH probe, right? So you get those alerts, and so you have that kind of peace of mind knowing that when something's going wrong, and when you have everything set up and working the way it's supposed to, you don't get bogus alerts and things like that of, a probe that's been out of the water, and it's been out of the water because you disconnected it or something like that. When you maintain the system as much as you maintain your aquarium, you have that peace of mind. You can walk away from it and know that if anything is wrong, it's going to let you know, right?
Yeah. So actually, on Tuesday this week, everything in my house disconnected from the internet, and the tank is on the same breaker as my router.
Hmm.
So of course, my first concern is the internet's out, is the tank off, and so shortly after, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours later, I get an email from Verizon. Because 2 hours, not great, but not the
Yeah,
absolute end of the world without
you don't get
power.
worried until like the 4 or 5 hour point.
Yeah. So, but I definitely was worried, that it was more than just the internet. And I got an email from Verizon saying that, per usual, you pay us and we don't do our end of the deal, and it's our fault, and it's going to come back on. And it did a couple hours later, but it's not. I was still concerned that, okay, even if it is the internet, is it going to come back? Am I going to have to send somebody over there? After you get used to having that safety net, if you don't hear from the tank, then it's okay. And if you don't have that, then you don't know if it's okay. And your luck could be bad, and that could happen at the same kind of time or whatever, and
I mean,
you could be caught off guard.
and it can happen in your situation where you're gone. It can happen in my situation where I go home for work, right? It can happen in my situation where I am, away from my aquarium, right? Over the weekend or something like that. There's so many different examples of when we're not next to the aquarium, and when things can go wrong and they're going to become problematic, they will go wrong. It's not a matter of if, it's always a matter of when, right?
I think the probability for most people is going to be that it's going to happen when they are home, and they're not going to notice, because what are you going to put your hand in the water every couple hours and make sure it's warm,
Yeah, and then,
So
and then all of a sudden you don't see your fish swimming around, and
right. Yeah.
it's
Once you see the
that's when.
problem, it's way too late, right?
Yep,
So
exactly.
I say a lot at trade shows, right? It's okay if things go wrong as long as you know when the problem starts. Then
Yeah.
you have time to fix it. If you don't have that, then you're chasing it.
And what's great here too, Tom, you keep like segueing into the next thing for me, and you're doing a great job here. I like this, right? And the Apex, that's another thing that I love about the Apex, and the Apex can do. It can tell you when devices are going to start operating incorrectly, right? And it does so through that power monitoring, right? And that power monitoring is super easy to use. Not only do you get notifications that there is no power to the tank or something like that, but you also get, right, on your EB832, you know what all those wattages are. And I'm going to go do a deep dive later this week all about kind of how different devices run and things like that. But most recently, I knew something was wrong with my skimmer, because my skimmer right now is pulling 28 watts. That's what it's supposed to do, right? Earlier this week, it was pulling 40 watts. And you know why it was pulling 40 watts? Because the venturi was clogged. It wasn't getting air any longer, and I never would have noticed that, right? Because it still wasn't overflowing. It just wasn't creating any skimmate, right? It was just basically not skimming off all that excess food. And I might have noticed it, but I have a dirty skimmate cup, so I can't even really tell, and I maybe empty that skimmate cup, every 2 or 3 weeks. So if I didn't have an Apex telling me that that was not pulling the right amount of power, I wouldn't have been skimming for over 2 or 3 weeks, right? Another great example is when return pumps and things like that are operating not the way they're supposed to, heaters, all these sorts of things just add on. They're mission critical pieces of equipment, and the Apex lets you know just by power consumption when they're not operating correctly, and that's one thing that I love. And I think
I
that,
think it also helps too, right? Like that because if there is something or you think something's wrong,
uh-huh.
you can paint the picture by looking at that list too. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, is what I'm seeing actually the problem or not the problem, right? You can validate or invalidate something that you might be concerned about. So I've been
Let me
on
go full screen.
in the same boat with some of that stuff with those too, right? If you think a pump's not working and let's say you have our flow sensor, right? And the flow sensor reads 0, but you can see that right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if the power supply goes bad, you know about it immediately. So you're able to cross-reference the data and determine how severe the problem is. Heaters,
Yeah.
again, obviously
I
not to
mean,
like.
it's all these things. Maybe we are unique in the way that we are often away from our aquariums and have to determine what isn't working properly. But I can't think that we're that unique, right? It's ultimately right. You need to be connected to your aquarium, and that's what leads us into the final thing. The Apex is whatever tool you need it to be in order to be an successful aquarist. So that means some people are going to use it for a purely monitoring reason. Some people are going to use it in a fully automated, I'm not going to touch my aquarium like you, right? And everything is just going to happen, right? And I mean, you don't have every Neptune Systems product on there. You have your Apex, you have your Dose, Trident, Skies, and Waves, and PMUP and LDK. But other than that, right, it's basically kind of a few products on there, but it's nothing crazy that you have, you know, and it's the tool that you want and need it to be. But ultimately, that tool is what prevents catastrophe, right? And I just want to hear you have a great catastrophe prevention story that I think everyone will enjoy here.
I guess like doing it as long as I have, there's been some good stuff, bad stuff, and most of the bad things have been mitigated. So this last trip I was in Kansas, we were gonna get a hurricane the next day. So I was really concerned about that when I got up in the morning, being
You can find
over
it.
1,000 miles away. Um, anyway, long story short,
Go closer.
the leak detector started to get wet,
Small.
and then the auto top off pump tripped. Between looking at those two things, I had asked Mark to go over and take a look at it. And when he gets over, he's trying to figure out what's going on, with the situation. And he
Mm-hmm.
takes a 5-gallon bucket, goes pour it back into the tank, and the 5-gallon bucket immediately starts coming out of the front left corner of the tank and right onto the floor. So
You so the
he
one
was
thing
able
we
to get
fear, the split
the
seam.
absolute worst thing that could
The
happen.
split seam, huh?
Yep. I was home only 4 or 5 days before that.
Yeah.
So I was I had zero warning that that was going on. I was cleaning the tank, I was scrubbing the glass, the whole thing. I didn't see it, and the water was not coming out at that time.
Yeah.
That tank's in my bedroom. So he was able to fit a business card almost halfway down the 18, 19-inch tank, right? Just through the top. So he FaceTimed me, and he's like, "It's not good." I'm like, "Well, it's not good." So I was like, "Yeah, it's not good. Can you empty the tank? I'm not going to be home until Thursday." He's like, "Maybe I can put a strap around it." I was like, "That just please empty the tank.
Dude,
Like I
just
need a
empty
place to
it.
live when I come home." Again, thanks, Mark. He siphoned all the water out, took the sand out, the whole thing, and the tank didn't explode, but it was going to explode. It was only a few days, and it was at about a 3-inch gap from the top where the silicone was actually leaking from, and another
Hmm.
5 inches that he could fit that business card. So it
Yeah.
was about 50% from falling off. Now I've had the tank for a while and stuff like that, and I've taken really good care of it. So I was very surprised and certainly concerned, but it's safe to assume that without the information that I had at my fingertips at noon that day, and if he had not actually gone over there for me, I don't think it would have made it to Thursday. It would have
I
popped
don't think
off.
I don't think you'd have a place to live right now.
No, I'd be living here,
Yeah,
and I'd be
exactly.
riding a snowmobile in a couple days. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I think it's just great. For you, the tool the Apex was on that day was, keeping you in your home, keeping the tank inhabitants alive and move to another aquarium. This
yep,
was not the tank that we saw earlier. This is a second
no,
tank, right?
yep.
And I think that that's one of the great things that, that we really work on. We want you to be successful, and we want you to be successful, in any way that you can. And we hope that our products can be a big part of that. So,
I will say, right, not to jump in, but like
yeah.
that is something that you will always be glad that you bought this. Okay.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
whether I worked here or not, that, you might get used to whatever you buy in your life, right? And it's like, oh
Hmm.
yeah, okay, whatever. Like that one day that comes that it saves you like that, and it's happened to me now, two or even three times in the last 5 or 6 years with a big problem. You're glad you bought that insurance, right? Because
Yeah.
there is no other way that those things would have been. I don't care if you're home or not home, like it still would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, you always see those videos and things like that of tanks bursting, and I'm always kind of like,
Yeah,
hope that's never me, right? But I mean,
right.
it can happen. But
Yep.
usually there's signs that it's going to happen. In your situation here, the Apex, was able to help tell you what was going on with water and power monitoring and all those sorts of different things. And as a result of that, you prevented a catastrophe, right? And so for you, the Apex was the tool that prevented that, and that's what we want to be. You know, that's what our goal is. We're all hobbyists here, and we want to see our customers, we want to see ourselves successful, right? That's the thing that I love about working here is that we all still get jazzed, right, about a new piece of coral. We all still get jazzed about new fish. We get jazzed about somebody setting up an aquarium, and that's part of what energizes us. So it's great to have that happen. So, without further ado, I do want to pause some questions before we get into some announcements. All right, what do we? What kind of favorites we got? So there's a lot of questions here that are favorite. At least some of us, they've been coming through. These comments have just been flying through. I love this. So what kind of integration are we going to see with Ecotech? What kind of, is there a WXM2 coming? All those sorts of things. Is Neptune going to communicate with Ecotech again? I love how like excited you guys are about this because that excites me. That excites our engineering team. It excites the people over at Ecotech Marine. It excites the people at BRS. We are so excited about the synergies that are coming. They're not going to happen like that, right? I mean, engineering takes time, right? Just like nothing good can happen in a reef tank fast, if something happens fast in an engineering world, it's probably not going to be good because you're going to have oversights, right? And so what I can say is that the open lines of communication are already happening. We're already thinking about how we can all work together and make our customers more successful. And I'm really excited about some of the conversations that are happening. It's mostly on the engineering side and things like that. And our engineers are pretty jazzed right now too. And I don't know if many of you know engineers, if you're engineers yourself, getting engineers excited is a very special thing. So I'm looking forward to that. I know Tom is looking forward to that, and for the things that are going to happen for that. Any other good questions here? Got it. That. Oh, David's got a good thing here. When I was showing some graphs earlier, right, we were talking about the graphs and they looked all crazy and things like that. You gotta understand graphs have a min and a max, right? So if I'm running an alkalinity of 8.7 to 8.5 and it looks like I'm doing these huge jumps, that's because my graph line shows 9 or so at the top and shows like 7.5 at the bottom. Okay, and so what that means is those jumps are looking very big. But if I had a graph line that had maybe 10 on the top and let's say 5 or 6 at the bottom, that line would look virtually flat, right? And so you might see these big up and downs, between temperature, salinity, all those things. But you have to look at what the high point and the low point is. A salinity deviation of 0.5 ppt over a day, nothing I'm going to be concerned about.
So if you were
I think
to
that,
look at your refractometer, I challenge somebody to be able to see that, that little
yeah, that
tiny
difference
where
between
that
30,
can't even
37.2, yeah,
you can't even see that.
you can't even see that. Any other good comments? Great, James. I'm glad we were able to help you out. Our support team is always asking ourselves, what is the customer's expectation and can we live up to it? I encourage all of our customers that if you are feeling like you are not having the experience that you want, that you let us know that, right? Our goal is to see you walk away with a smile on your face and feeling like that we really knocked it out of the park. And that's where I want our team to be all the time. right? That's where we want our teams to be. Let's make sure that if you're not having a great experience, you let us know. I think a lot of customers do have great experiences, and I love hearing about them. So thank you. A lot of questions here about a nitrate phosphate monitoring. Yeah, per Neptune Systems policies, I cannot comment on unannounced product development or support. Okay, moving on. All right, so announcement time, huh? Are we ready? Tom, are you ready?
I've been more ready.
Are my control freaks ready for some announcements? Vincent, are they ready? Are there comments that they want to know? All right. So it is that time of year that we all look forward to in our big purchases. And Tom and I just spent a good amount of time of really just thinking about why, we run Apexes and why we love them. And if there has been some gear that you've been looking for, and if you aren't a part of that Neptune Systems family, you can't call yourself a control freak yet, we want to invite you into that family. And we're going to try to make that a little bit easier given the season that we're in right now. So I am pleased to announce that starting tonight at 12:01 Eastern, okay? So it is, Tom, what time is it Eastern right now?
It's 8:35 in the real world.
Okay, so in the real world it's 5:30, so we're looking at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12:01 Eastern. We will be putting all Neptune Systems products with no restrictions or anything like that on sale at 10% off. That's right, our Black Friday deals and specials are 10% off. I have even some more deals that I'm going to be sharing with you guys over the next couple of days, and one at the end of this live stream that makes it even a little bit more attractive to make sure that you can get Neptune Systems products at the best value. And now you may be asking yourself, where on earth can I get this Neptune Systems products? The participation in Black Friday promotions and deals is entirely voluntary by our resellers, but I can say probably any Neptune Systems reseller out there is excited to be able to extend those 10% discounts off to you. We have a lot of local fish stores. We are doing something really cool this year too. We have teamed up with sister company Bulk Reef Supply and got some Bulk Reef Supply stuff there in some of the stores. We've got mailers going out to get you into your local fish stores. We're not going to be highlighting any of those today, but we will be highlighting those throughout the live streams over the rest of this week as we make more deals and announcements. But and any online reseller will have these, right? So to name a few, we got saltwateraquarium.com. We've got Bulk Reef Supply. We've got Aqua Cave. We've got Premium Aquatics, right? All of them are looking forward to participating and making sure that you can become a part of our Control Freak family and reflecting rosily after the installation to have a great experience just like Tom and I have. Anything you want to add on that, Tom?
Yeah, I know in Canada, Boxing Day is kind of their bigger thing, but it will be going on up there as well. So got to give our Canadians a shout out, sorry, eh? And then you got Reef Supplies, Aquarium Depot, Candy Corals, J&L, just to name a few. So we've had a huge presence up in Canada the last couple of years, and they have had an awesome year and a half, right?
So it basically any reseller in North America, oftentimes we get, well, what about our international customers? It's not really a thing like that, so we don't necessarily have those kind of promotions working there. Maybe we'll be able to do something nice for you guys throughout the Christmas season, we'll see. But here in North America, Black Friday is on starting tonight at midnight. So go to your favorite Apex dealer, make that purchase that you're looking for, and we are excited, to make sure that you get the most out of that product. Now, this is something that I don't want to spend too much time on, and I'll try to make it brief here. So we, gosh, Tom, I don't even know like really how to start this. Do you?
I mean, yeah, it's easy. Unfortunately, everything is having this
Yeah.
situation, right?
So
So,
I think we've all been going to the stores. We have been seeing what's been going on, and we are maintaining retail prices on all of our products as they were before we entered into the Black Friday season. But following Black Friday this year will be the first Neptune Systems product-wide price increase. The price increases are, anywhere from nothing on a few products, but most products, especially the ones that really make the difference, you're looking anywhere from 5 to almost 17% price increases. Okay, and why that's happening, I think you already know. I mean, cost of materials are up significantly. Some cost of materials have almost doubled in price. Cost of labor. We've all heard about the Great Recession at this, not the Great Resignation at this point, but it's getting hard to find people to, make our team successful. And so labor prices are going up. And finally, shipping. Shipping is just it's getting ugly. Not only do you have to ship things in ways that you didn't want to ship them in terms of express shipping because you've been waiting on that part, and that part's going to hold up your entire production line and things like that, but you've had to make things happen so things haven't gone out of stock. This is our first product line increase since I've been a part of the company. Right? And I've been a part of this company since 2011. We've had minor price increases here and there, but none of them product line like this. So it's unfortunate, that that's the case, but we need to be able to continue to be a company that can innovate, have the right people in the right seats so we can innovate, and keep bringing you the quality products. Right? And to do that, unfortunately, prices kind of have to go up. First time in a long time. But I hope you guys can understand. But we're not raising prices before this Black Friday sales event, which means that the purchases you make now compared to the purchase that you could make later, you're not saving just 10%. You're saving 15, 20%. Right? So think about it that way. Don't miss out on those savings. We want to see you part of this family. And after November 30th, we're doing what we got to do. So, Tom, I don't think there's much more to say on that.
I mean, I went to the store and things that I've been buying for $1 are now 2.50. So, like, I think all things considered, this is not anything like that. This is a great opportunity to get stuff on a sale before the price goes up, just like Paul said. And there's never been a better time. So that's the reality, right? Go out, support your local fish store. Our stores have been huge. It's been a roller coaster year and a half for everybody, and I'm excited to see a good follow through on everything from our retailers.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, without further ado, do we have any other great questions, Vincent? I'm seeing a lot of people that are going to be excited about getting into the Neptune Systems product line, which is great to see. I'm really excited to think that, that our deals and sales are going to make that possible. Got some questions just on kind of random tech things. And trust me guys, I am looking forward to taking off this sales hat and putting on my tech hat and getting into the weeds with you guys on a couple of other episodes that I have planned for the rest of this the next couple of days as we promote more and more products and just in the future, right? Let's Talk Reef, as I said, is going to be different. It's going to be a little bit more tech driven, and it's going to be something that you can expect to be pretty regular. Maybe not every other Tuesday, but pretty often. I want to get up here, have special people on, people like Tom, maybe other personalities from the sister companies, all those sorts of things, and we're talking about Apex, talking about getting geeky with Apex, which is going to be really nice. So anyhow, let's finally finished this up with a our first, what we were going to call it, Doorbuster. That's what they call it in the sales world, a Doorbuster. Okay, and this is going to be something that we are going to keep on special. We want to more heavily discount this product throughout the Black Friday event, and I'm excited to let you guys know that the Apex system, the flagship monitoring system that we have here for the product line, is not going to be 10% off. It's not going to be 12% off. Tom, what percent off is the Apex going to be here for Black Friday?
More than 10%. So we're going to be at more than 15% off.
We
So
are
you
going
want
to
to
be
tell them the
more
price?
than 15% off on the Apex system. The Apex throughout the Black Friday event is going to run at $135 off. That's 15.7% off the retail price. And the Apex supplies, while limited, as soon as stores are out of stock, they will not be able to sell you any more at that price, right? So what dealers have in stock is what they're going to be able to sell at that Doorbuster deal. That Doorbuster deal is going to continue all the way through the end of the sales event while supplies last, right? Our dealers and our operations and our production team, all of these people have been making sure that we are ready to make sure that you can make those purchases. So supply is healthy, but it is while supplies last. So Tom and I spent probably what? Oh, wow, we've been going on for a while, Tom. But Tom and I probably spent a good 30 minutes talking about why we love Apex, and we can't wait for you to be involved. Can't wait for you to join the family. So, anything else, Mr. DeShelley?
Thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah.
I'm just catching a couple comments. Sorry, I wasn't really able to see them alongside. And I see Steve gave me a shout out. Steve's like one of the first guys I sold an Apex to when I was working here. It's awesome to see him still here. And then I like the Chevy line commercial. I actually do own a Chevy, so maybe if it doesn't work out here, I'll just sell Chevys. So he said something along the lines of, it sounds like there's never been a better time than now. So I don't know, maybe I just stole that.
There has never been there has never been a better time. You will. This is the last time you'll be able to see products at these kind of prices. And I think we're giving something away. You know, I wanted to start this off really nice, so I didn't really ask for permission. I just kind of did it. So I am happy to say, once I put it out there on Facebook, like, what is anyone going to do, right? Booyah. We are giving away, where does it go? We are giving away a Sky. We are giving away a Sky. That's right, folks. Booyah Sky time. All right. And so how we're going to do this is we have been asking all of you to make comments throughout this Facebook live stream. And the reason why we were asking you to make comments is because with a spin of the wheel, the proverbial wheel, the wheel on Vincent's mouse, we will choose one lucky customer that will receive a new skylight at their doorstep within 1 week. Vincent, please tell, oh wait, there's so many comments. There's just so many comments. We're going through them here. His mouse is going all over the place. Vincent, stop. Daniel J. Bandriff. Congratulations. You can go put his comment up there. Daniel J. I'm glad that you love your PMUPs. I'm glad that you love your waves. And now, Mr. Daniel Bandroff, you are going to enjoy your Sky LED light, right? We're going to be talking about the Sky throughout these live streams. Unfortunately, I can't get like really techie into the Skies because they're so simple to use. But we will be talking about the Sky lights throughout this. I want to congratulate you on your winning there, Mr. Daniel. So
I'd really love to see what's going on like the other side of his computer or phone right now, because I feel like he's probably going pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel, are you still here? Anyways, Danny, it's now up to you. It's now up to you, Daniel, to reach out to us to get that skylight. All right, he'll be down at the bottom, but let's see. He'll maybe watch it in replay. If I don't hear from them, I will re-announce another name. He has, what? We'll give him another minute. We'll give him another minute. Dun, 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 dun. So what's for dinner tonight, Tom?
It's a good question. Maybe we'll do some pizza. It's a little late for lobster here, unfortunately.
Lobster? Get some lobster?
Yeah,
Some orange lobster?
no.
All right, he's not responding. I think we're going to have to get another winner.
This poor guy, he's gonna lose it tomorrow.
It's unfortunate. He's going to say that he commented. All right. We're moving on. We're going to choose another winner, Vincent. Are you ready to spin that wheel again? Are you ready? It's spinning. The excitement is just too much. It's just too much. I'm like jittery here. Okay. Stop. Anthony Johnson, who his comment is me, me, me. I think that's me, want a skylight. Are you here, man? Do. I don't want to spend too much more time on this, Tom. Maybe we're just not going to give the light. Oh, he's here.
He's there.
He's there. There he is. He says I'm here. Booyah. Anthony, go ahead and message us on Facebook, and we'll get your details. And bingo, you got a skylight, dude. Congratulations. All right. So I'm going to have another live stream tomorrow. I've got another heavily discounted product available for you. One of our most exciting products. People love this product, so I am excited to tell you about it. And the big reason why I'm also excited to tell you about it, it's one that you can get really nerdy with. So I will be doing that tomorrow, talking about this product and telling you about the deals associated with it. Maybe I'll have a special guest. We'll see. Maybe Mr. DeShelley will join me. We'll see about that. But really glad you guys were all here. This was a lot of fun, wasn't it, Tom?
Absolutely, definitely. I'm really excited. Got 10 good days ahead and a lot of fish tanks and a lot of new Apex owners out there. So it's awesome.
Awesome. All right. Well, Control Freaks, thank you for joining us. We're here because you guys want us here. Maybe. I don't know. But this has been a great Let's Talk Reef. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.